You know, I gotta admit, for once, our Dungeon Master actually did something right.
Yeah, all of these amazing digital tools that are available really enhance the fun of this game.
Now, you guys, did you know that you can look up the stat blocks of the monsters that we're fighting too?
And the Dungeon Master can't even tell either. This is great.
Indeed, I can even look up rulings from Jeremy Crawford to prove our Dungeon Master wrong.
Look, you guys, I told you that all of these digital tools were for the Dungeon Master to use, not for you guys, the players.
Well, then why did you give us all these really cool laptops?
Yeah, no kidding. What did you think we'd be doing besides cheating? I don't know, going on Facebook or something.
Facebook is for losers.
Hey now, wait a second. There are many fine and wonderful people watching this skit who use Facebook, and you may have just offended them.
Yeah, Fat Cat's mom uses Facebook.
Did you know that Jeremy Crawford allows his players to use laptops at the game table to look up the stat blocks of monsters?
Okay, that's it. Everyone give me the laptops back. Like, right now.
Oh, quit being a big baby.
Welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Luke Hart, and I've been a Dungeon Master since high school. On this channel, I give practical Dungeon Master advice that you can implement at your game table. Today in the Lair, I'll be discussing the top 10 digital Dungeon Master tools of the trade that I use in my games to prepare and run D&D. And if you missed my video last week, I talked about the top 10 physical tools that I use. I will drop a link in the description to that if you'd like to check out those after this video. We wouldn't want you skipping this video now, would we? Now, before I get into the official list, I do want to tell you that there is a digital resource out there that is extremely useful for Dungeon Masters. There, you can find free D&D adventures and other resources such as NPCs, magic items, traps, and other cool things that you can use in your own games. This resource is, of course, my own website, thedmlair.com. I just didn't want to include it in the official list because I felt that level of cheese would just be far too much. So I gave you a different type of cheese. But I didn't want to not mention it either because the DMLayer.com is a 100% free resource that is out there for Dungeon Masters to use. So yeah, just check it out, link below. Oh, and I also have lots of free Dungeon Master resources published over on DriveThruRPG too. If you're interested in that, another link below. And now, onto the list before you hunt me down and murderize me. Number 1, Microsoft OneNote or Evernote. Holy crap, I use Microsoft OneNote extensively to keep track of things in my games. And if you want to see the level of notes and everything that I do in OneNote, stop by one of my live streams. I am happy to pull it up and show you everything that I use it for. We're talking campaign planning, notes about villains and plots, session notes, planning for future game sessions, and notes on what happened in a previous game session so that my small little brain doesn't forget. Campaign setting details, NPC information, organization information, important information about locations they're either going to go to or perhaps might decide to go to, and I just want to be ready in case I have to look it up really quick. One of the things that I love about OneNote is that it syncs to my computer, my laptop, and my iPad, so no matter what I happen to be using in that particular moment, I can find what I need. It's wonderful. And if you don't got OneNote, then Evernote is a mostly free alternative to OneNote, though I think that if you want to sync up more than 2 devices, you have to start paying for it. There's some sort of like payment thing where you eventually got to start paying for it, but it's mostly free. Number 2, D&D Beyond. So you guys, D&D Beyond has become more and more indispensable for me, especially when I'm running games online. And they are not paying me to say this. I'm literally receiving no money. I don't even talk to the folks. I don't even know who they are. I just really enjoy their service. One of the biggest things that I think that D&D Beyond offers is the ability to create characters very easily. You can, as a Dungeon Master, I bought all of the different content on D&D Beyond, and then I can share that content with my players. They can go in there and create their PCs using the stuff, all of the resources that I've bought, for instance, Xanathar's Guide to Everything and all that kind of stuff, and then create their characters, create their PCs. Very, very simple. It streamlines that creation process, which I feel that one of the most challenging things for players, especially new players, is creating their characters. And D&D Beyond really solves that complexity very, very nicely. And then what we do is we use a Chrome extension called Beyond 20 so that all dice rolls in D&D Beyond will show up in your virtual tabletop. We use, for instance, Roll20. So they roll something on their character sheet in D&D Beyond, and boom, it shows up on Roll20. We're good to go, which means we don't have to create our characters in Roll20. We can just do it in D&D Beyond and done. The other thing that I do with D&D Beyond is I pull up monster stat blocks on multiple tabs during a combat, and then when that monster's turn is up, I just go to that tab, I decide what I'm going to do, I click the little the little dice that are there, thanks to Beyond 20, that extension, and then when I click those dice in D&D Beyond, it automatically rolls over in Roll20, and my dice rolling and everything is streamlined as well. D&D Beyond also has an encounter building tool, which I didn't know about until kind of recently, and it is super, super, super awesome, so definitely a good resource. That was a very, very strong endorsement. It's super, super, super awesome. You can use it for things like looking up spells too fairly quickly. But one of the things that it's very useful for as well is if you have the module on D&D Beyond, you can use it to get the images, a player version of the map, and import that into Roll20, for instance, so that you don't have to like recreate it on your own, which is a lot of work. But I will say this, D&D Beyond does not replace physical books for me. If you look at my bookshelf behind me, I still buy pretty much every single book because for me, it is far easier to read the books at my leisure whenever I want to, not have to have some sort of tablet or something with me. And it is still easier to find things you're looking for, often by flipping through a book, than it is trying to find it in D&D Beyond. Now, all of that said, all that glowing recommendation in there, the biggest drawback of D&D Beyond is its steep price. Every resource in there, you're gonna have to pay individually. There's no subscription model whereby you pay, say, $15 a month and get everything. You have to literally buy each book individually in there. That starts to add up after a while, but if you can afford that bill, it's a great product. Number 3, a virtual tabletop, or VTT. All right, so I have said many, many times that I love tactile combat, but here, under quarantine, or if you're just playing with people online, you can't really have grid and minis, so a VTT or virtual tabletop like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds is, well, for me at least, 100% needed. Players have their tokens, there's a map, the Dungeon Master's monsters have their tokens, you move things around, it simulates a grid and minis very, very beautifully. And if you got D&D Beyond and the Chrome extension, whatever you roll over there turns up in your VTT, and it is very seamless, very beautiful, it works super, super well. And not only can you have combats in your virtual tabletop, but you could also just have the entire dungeon map there, and players can just do the exploration of the dungeon, moving their tokens along, and when combat breaks out, it breaks out. And if it doesn't, they're just moving around and exploring things. It is a very, very awesome experience, in my opinion. In a lot of ways, a virtual tabletop makes a Dungeon Master's job easier when running the game, except if you have to create the maps, then that's a lot of work. But if you're running a module, then you can just buy the modules on VTTs usually, and the maps are all there, dynamic lighting is there, a lot of the work is done. It is so worth the $20 or so to buy the module in your VTT. It saves you so much work as a Dungeon Master. Now, I personally use Roll20, it's the first thing I picked, it's what I learned, but there are other options such as Fantasy Grounds, Foundry VTT, Tailspire, and Tabletop Simulator. I don't have experience personally with those, but lots of fine folks keep on saying, "Hey Luke, have you looked at this one?" And I'm just like, no. But because they're asking me and a lot of them recommending them, those are probably solid options as well, but check into them, obviously. A quick note though, I do know that on Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, you can buy D&D content such as modules, but I'm not sure about the other VTTs. You probably want to read up on that before you commit to one. Number 4, music, especially tabletop audio. All right. I love having music going when I'm playing my D&D games. In fact, when I was playing in person, I would always have some sort of music going. I felt that if music wasn't going, if there wasn't some sort of ambiance in the background, that something just felt empty or lacking in the game. Now, I would usually just put something like WoW on, or perhaps Conan the Barbarian or Conan the Destroyer, which are amazing soundtracks. I wouldn't go to too much effort to like hand pick music for every little scene that was going on, but if you can do that, that's like the next level stuff and will make your game amazing. More amazing than if you didn't do that. I had a player once who ran D&D for us, Matt, and he would do this. He would have certain scenes that were going to happen in the game planned out, and he would have music that goes along with them. And I'll tell you what, when you are in the boat and a storm comes along and then your Dungeon Master keys the storm music, that really enhances your game experience. So try to do that stuff if you can, if you got time to plan all that out. I tend to be strapped for time, maybe a little bit lazy, but it's a good thing to do if you can. Now, I did mention Tabletop Audio, and it is my preferred music site. It's 100% free, lots of awesome music there. It's a search functionality, so if I'm looking for a dungeon music, I go there. If I need music for a village with people talking and laughing and stuff, I go there. If I need some scary music, I just type it in and search for it, and I find it. So very, very good resource. Number 5, Donjon. Whenever I'm prepping an adventure, almost every single time, I almost always, that's a lot of almost and always and every single time, almost always find myself on Donjon for the variety of tools that are there. One of the biggest things that I use frequently is the monster list. You can sort it by type of monster, challenge rating of monster, the terrain that you might find the monster in, like a swamp or a forest or something. Super, super useful for finding just the right monster for whatever given situation you're designing a game for. And it has random generators such as treasure, encounters, even entire dungeons could be generated using it. So go check that out. Lots of cool stuff there. You'll be amazed at how much easier using some of those random generators and tools there will make your game prep. Number 6, fantasynamegenerators.com. The guy sit around all day trying to think up cool and unique and awesome names for all of my NPCs and stuff like that. No, dude, I use an online name generator, and this one right here is my generator of choice. It has tons of fantasy names and real-world names from different cultures. You just sort, click, boom, you got names. It's very easy, very beautiful. Makes my life much, much better. Number 7, Dungeon Fog. So when I need to make a custom map for an online game that I'm going to be using in like Roll20, say, or it could be any other virtual tabletop if you use something different, I use Dungeon Fog to make my maps. Dungeon Fog is fairly easy to use, has a wide variety of things that you can do with it, and when you're done creating your map, you can export it to an image file that you can then import into your virtual tabletop, such as Roll20. There are also lots of community maps that are made by others that you can clone and customize and use in your own games, thus bypassing a lot of the work of making your own map. And the toolset is continually being updated and added to as well, so there's always new stuff coming out in it. Number 8, 5th edition Spellbook app for the Android. This is a free app you can get on your Android that allows you to find and search and look up spells super, super quick, far faster than flipping through the player handbook, I might add. Now, some groups have a no electronics policy at the game table, and I feel like this app in particular and the ease at which you can look up spells is one of the reasons that I would probably never ban electronics, because having a player be able to find a spell that they're casting in moments as opposed to trying to find it in the book, which could take a little bit of time, very, very convenient and speeds things up. Besides which, I use it myself, so yeah, it'd be a little hypocritical if I told them they couldn't, but I'm doing it myself. Number 9, 5th edition Encounter Calculator. I use this online calculator quite a bit for calculating the difficulty of an encounter for my group. Now, I know you can do that over in D&D Beyond with their encounter building tool, but if I need to do some quick and dirty math, just if I know the CR of the monsters and how many players and their levels, I can punch things in very, very quickly here and figure out the challenge rating of an encounter. Number 10, online dice roller. Now, I just use this dice roller over on Wizard's site, but I mean, any of the online dice rollers that you could Google and find would work just fine. When I'm running games remotely, that is from my computer, when I'm running an online game, let's say, I sometimes just don't have room on my desk or something to get all my dice out. Sometimes I forget to get them out and they're just sitting over there buried. So using an online dice roller just makes things a little bit easier. Some people out there are like, heresy, no! Okay, get your physical dice, it's cool. But this is an option that exists. Don't forget to follow me over on Twitch for some chill live streams where you can ask me your specific D&D questions. Let me know your favorite digital Dungeon Master tool down in the comments. Next week, I'll be telling you the story of when my Curse of Strahd players took on 6 vampires at level 4. But until then, click right here to learn the top 10 physical DM tools I use in my games. And until next time, let's play D&D.